Meowth, the Scratch Pokémon, and Persian, the classy cat Pokémon. Welcome everyone, I'm Exceptional and I hope you are too. Today we will be exploring how quickly we can beat Pokémon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, using only my starter, whom I will allow to evolve. There are further details in the description, but my general rules are: I can only use my starter in battle, no items in trainer battles except held items, no glitches, exploits, or RNG manipulations, and I don't particularly like accuracy or evasion strategies, so I will tend to avoid them. This run was actually requested way back on my second video ever, Squirtle. Shout out to Corey Murphy for the request. And the nickname Alfonso is another request that was made. On my Duskull video, Puma FC requested that I nickname my next cat Pokemon Alfonso after their buddy's cat. Well, here you are. Meowth is very much underwhelming at the start of the game, with base stats averaging around 40, but with great speed, I feel Alfonso won't be blazing through the early game but shouldn't find too many struggles that are insurmountable. Typically, with a normal type starter, the first gym badge is quite daunting. Brock, the rock-hard gym leader, resists normal type moves, but at level 10, Alfonso will learn Bite, a 60 base power dark move with a 30% chance of flinching the target. This is great for Alfonso, as on top of not being resisted in Gen 3, Dark is classified as special. Therefore, all dark moves use our special attack, targeting Brock's weaker special defense stat. I know that we'll need to be at least level 10 for Brock, but I have a sneaking suspicion that we may need to be a little bit higher than that, so I elect to clear out every trainer in Viridian Forest on the way to Pewter City. I'm being a little careful on my way through, saving a couple of times along the way. Those Weedles can be nasty if they get an early poison on you, which is exactly what happens in this battle against Bugcatcher Doug. Granted, I did come into this battle a little over half health, but I'm sure glad that I saved. Well, that was an early reset. Let's go battle the guy with only Caterpies for a bit of experience before trying Doug again. That'll be safer, right? Unless, of course, his Caterpies get a critical, resulting in us being one turn away from knocking him out as he gives us another super early reset. Oh man. Fine, I'll burn a potion and start these battles at full health instead. My goodness. There we go. Anyways, what was I saying? I cleared the trainers in Viridian Forest except Doug on the way through. Since we didn't defeat Doug, I choose to clear a couple of wild battles in the grass just south of Pewter to round us out to level 10 before challenging Brock. Bite is doing some serious work against his lead Geodude while also getting in some flinches along the way. We actually are able to take out Geodude at full health. Onix comes in and has something to say about that though, as it looks like we're gonna need 4 bites to knock him out. Well, his Rock Tomb hits us for north of 11 damage, over a third of our health. I tried again, but with less flinch luck against Geodude, and things went even worser. So we need a little bit of training. I defeat Camper Liam in the gym and head back down to the forest. I defeat Doug on the way back through because the battle at level 11 is much easier than at level 6. I did still have to save in front of him though. Anyway, we're heading back to Route 22 just west of Viridian City. There's one final trainer over here, Rival 1.5. Trainers give more experience than wild battles and tend to have higher experience yielding Pokemon to begin with. The other benefit of running back to this grass is that any additional training I need to do, I want to do in this patch of grass. There are Mankeys here that give attack EVs, and we're going to be leaning more into Meowth's physical abilities for this run. Now at level 13, let's try the Brock battle again. Level 13 brings us over a damage rounding threshold, and Bite is definitely doing more to Geodude now. It still takes 3 shots, but with 1 flinch we take out his lead at full health. Onix is still going to take 4 bites to defeat, but we're also taking what feels like substantially less damage. It's pretty wild what a difference a few levels can make. We make it over our first roadblock and grab our first badge. In the next section, I have a choice to make: defeat extra trainers, or don't. The problem with not defeating them is that on the other side of Mount Moon, there's a one-way ledge, so once we jump over it, I can't get back until later in the game. If I skip these trainers, there's a chance that I'll have to grind against wild Pokemon in Cerulean, which I usually try to avoid. This is part of the reason why I always do 2 playthroughs, one to experience the Pokemon and learn what's possible, then a second to attempt to optimize the run for a more competitive finish. On my way through Mount Moon, I make sure to grab the Dome Fossil. I hear you out there, Helix supporters, but I've got the Dome stuck in my dome lately. I actually haven't done much additional training, and once in Cerulean, I feel that I have a better shot against Rival 2. More prepared is a relative term though, as his lead Pidgeotto absolutely stomps the floor with us. I was pretty close to level 18 over another damage rounding threshold, so I quickly level up in the grass and try again. fun fact, Payday and Scratch have the same base power, but Payday is slightly worse to use from a time perspective because it displays more text. I'm just having fun here because I never get to use the move. We take out Pidgeotto but at only 12 health, which Rattata quickly robs us of with a crit quick attack. I've not defeated the trainers in Misty's gym and done more grinding in the grass. We're now at level 20, attempting again over another damage rounding threshold. With the help of some additional damage output on our side plus a nice flinch against Pidgeotto, we make it to his Ace Bulbasaur around 60% health. We are now faster and I'm trying to utilize Bite more for that flinch chance. Bulbasaur then puts us to sleep and cleans up our remaining health. More attempts and more grinding later, I've now grinded to level 21 and used the 2 rare candies available to this point to get to level 23, you guessed it, over another damage rounding threshold. The thing is though, at this level we are absolutely crushing his team leading up to Bulbasaur, but the second that thing puts us to sleep, it's all over Red Rover again. I'm pretty over grinding at this point, so I decide to just go for it a few times. Now at 18 resets, we find ourselves against Bulbasaur again. He misses his first sleep powder, landing the second, but we wake up after only 1 turn of sleeping and are able to finally take him down. I guess in the next playthrough, I'm gonna have to just full clear the game up to this point. My goodness. With the rival out of the way though, we are cruising now, or so I thought, as this Mankey continues to cause early game resents. I think my favorite suggestion for a nickname for this Mankey is Grape Ape, but keep them coming. I'll give you a crit karate chop. Next on Route 25, I make sure to pull down Camper Flint. This gives us early access to TM43's Secret Power. As a 70 base power normal move, it's a great update to our damage over Scratch, as we also gain the benefit of Stab or same type attack bonus. The cherry on top is that Secret Power has a 30% chance of a secondary effect based on terrain, which most of the time in this run is going to be Paralysis. Who better to test our shiny new move out on than our second gym leader, Misty. We start strong with Secret Power getting the Oko or one-hit knockout against her lead Staryu. Starmie is always the bigger threat though. We're faster, hitting Secret Power for over half and paralyzing. Outstanding, as Water Pulse hits for just over a third and triggers our held Personberry. One more Secret Power cleans up Starmie and we gain an easy second badge. Meowth's ability is Pickup. Pickup gives a 10% chance of picking up a random item at the end of a battle. In Pokemon Emerald, the level of your Pokemon with Pickup impacts the loot, but in FireRed it loots on a static table, with the most common items being berries, with a 5% chance to find rare candies, nuggets, PP-ups, or TM10 hidden power. Typically in a playthrough, this is where I catch my HM cheerleaders, a Pidgey and a Meowth, plus extra Meowths if I'm pursuing hidden power or foresee a lot of grinding. In this first playthrough, ironically enough, I do not feel that I need hidden power and will not be grabbing my army of Meowths. On the SSN, I'm on the lower deck grabbing TM44 Rest. I'm not sure if I'll need it, but in my first playthroughs, I usually enjoy grabbing extra items just in case I need them later. Something wonderful happens here as we defeat Sailor Huey though, and we level to 28, evolving into Persian. Along with some fantastic boosts to our stats, I feel like the Persian sprite is just absolutely gorgeous. But I'm a cat person, so, you know, bias. Our next battle is Rival 3, and check out what a difference our updated moveset and evolution make on this battle. Even with his whole team on their second stage of evolution, Secret Power carves through his entire team with one-shots, leaving his Ace Ivysaur in red bar for a payday cleanup. For the swag, you see. Our next gym leader is Lieutenant Surge, and I'm so confident that I just waltz right into the fight. Secret Power continues to do work here, outspeeding and getting an Oko against both his Voltorb and Pikachu. Raichu is out and we miss the one-shot, so as Surge heals, I switch to Feint Attack because it can't miss for some chip damage, and switch right back to Secret Power. Once we connect, it's all over for Surge, and we collect our third badge. As I proceed onto Route 9, I have an interesting point to discuss. Here lies TM40 Aerial Ace, a fantastic 60 base power flying move that can't miss. It's a great coverage option in the mid-game, but there's a problem with it with normal types. On the other side of Rock Tunnel, we get access to Return. Return is a normal move that's power scales with your friendship and hits for 102 base power at max friendship. Add Stab to that and Return is now a 152 base power move, which hits for more damage than most super effective moves that we would use. I'll touch more on this soon. I continue through the mid-game collecting the Tea, Fly, and defeating the Rocket Hideout below the game corner. Alfonso has an interesting stat distribution with 70 in attack and 65 in special attack. This makes Persian a great mixed attacker, even though we are leaning more heavily into our physical attack. We can see against Giovanni that Water Pulse eats his rock types for an appetizer, and then Stab Return takes big chunks out of Kangaskhan in the back. While I'm in Celadon, I wanted to try to defeat Erica as well, so here's a great opportunity to showcase what I was discussing before. Aerial Ace is usually a great solution to face Erica earlier, but for Alfonso, Stab Return is hitting for 152 base power, 32 higher than the 120 power of a super effective Aerial Ace. It's also a big reason why I didn't use a hidden power, as at a maximum base power of 70, our returns would be hitting for more damage 9 out of 10 times anyway. I'll note that I'm not aware of my current friendship with Alfonso, so in order to hit as hard as Aerial Ace, I would need a friendship level of 200. I may not have this at this point, so Aerial Ace may have been the better option. Anyway, in this first attempt we end up getting overwhelmed from poison and take a reset. I come right back in, this time with a Pecha Berry equipped. I usually have a Cherry Berry equipped here, but when we evolved, our ability changed from Pickup to Limber. Limber prevents us from being paralyzed, so Cherry Berries are pretty much useless for us. I did reset once more here, but as long as we don't get put to sleep for too long in this battle, it is ours. That final crit on Vileplume definitely sealed the deal in our favor. Our next major battle is against Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower. Returning, to the topic of friendship, there are plenty of ways to increase it in the game. Leveling up, winning key battles, vitamins, and even walking 128 steps has a 50% chance to increase your friendship by 1 point. I'm leaning heavily into Return here, and it's working, but I wish I could see how much love Alfonso and I share, like with an integer value. In a solo run though, it's only a matter of time before it caps out. In this attempt we pick apart his team until we once again get stonewalled by Ivysaur, who puts us to sleep, and it's curtains from there. I make a quick change, teaching Shockwave over Payday, and try again. Shockwave handles Pidgeotto and Gyarados in one this time, so we've taken a lot less damage already. I chose the Bulbasaur team to face because Sleep is horrid, and the double Intimidate is hard to navigate sometimes with physical attackers. With that extra HP though, we have no problem stomping out the rival and moving on. I clean up the tower and make my way towards Silphco to try and finish off the Rocket plotline. I do plan on collecting all of the high-value items and TMs in Silphco because Alfonso is going to need vitamins to optimize our EV distribution and money because I am planning on buying a TM from the Game Corner before the Pokemon League. It's a good idea to try and do this as early as possible, as vitamins cap out at 100 EVs in any individual stat, falling well short of the 255 maximum, so you get more benefit from doing this early. While in Silph, it's always a good idea to try Rival 5 so that we don't need to backtrack later. We're dealing some big damage to his Pidgeot with Shockwave and Return, with Shockwave handling Gyarados second. We have plenty of damage output but aren't that defensive, so we're taking some big hits in return. We actually make it to his Ace Venusaur relatively smoothly, but we're only at 34 health. Because of the double Intimidate, Return is doing sad damage while we get put to sleep and Future Sight hits, leaving us at 2 hit points. We are not surviving Venusaur's next Razor Leaf. Well, that felt pretty one-sided, so after stopping at the department store, I make my way down Cycling Road. I'm not doing any additional training right now, as I simply don't know how much Alfonso is going to need by the end of the game. I'm always interested in discovering what's possible before pursuing what's optimal. After clearing the Safari Zone, it's time to face Koga. I have a Pecha Berry equipped for safety, starting strong and getting the Oko against coughing. We missed the one-shot against Muck, who I will never think of the same thanks to a recent comment from JD's Nerdverse. If you haven't heard of JD's Nerdverse, be sure to check out his channel as he has some great Pokemon content as well. I'll put a link to his channel in the video description. Anyway, despite his minimized tactics, we got through Muck and another coughing, bringing us to his Ace Wheezing. Return does half, and we get the victory in 2 more turns. Heck yeah, that is 5 badges. We find ourselves back in Silphco, and with only 2 remaining progression gates, let's try Rival 5 again. We're now at level 45, over a damage rounding threshold, and a bit more powerful since last time we faced him. Koga's Soul Badge is also boosting our defense by 10%, so here's hoping that that's enough. We carve through his team with relative ease, but it's Venusaur in the back that's the biggest threat. I did reset once here before this attempt and have come back in with a Chesto Berry saving us from sleep. I think catching the army of Meowths will be necessary next time, if nothing else for the berries. Without taking a nap, this time we defeat Rival 5. I finished the rocket plotline and that opens up Sabrina's gym. I say this a lot, but we're a fast, powerful physical attacker. Despite our nature, we outspeed and one-shot all of her 4 Pokemon. I chose the Brave nature because it increases our attack at the cost of speed. I felt like we were going to need a reasonably high level to defeat the Round 2 League, so our speed shouldn't be an issue in order to gain that additional attack. Sabrina falls and we collect our 6th badge. A big reason I usually try to defeat Silph before venturing to Cinnabar is because after defeating Rival 5 you get a Lapras for free. Lapras works perfectly as a final HM cheerleader, learning Surf, Strength, Waterfall, and even Rock Smash, though it isn't required for a round 2 finish. I don't like taking the extra time to catch a Surf Pokemon since we get the Lapras for free, though I'm sure it'll happen eventually. I use the Poke Quiz mechanic in Blaine's gym to skip the trainers, and let's see how this goes. Blaine is another battle where we'll need to deal with a double Intimidate. Despite the first one, we still knock out both his lead Growlithe and Ponyta in a single shot. Rapidash is next, getting taken to deep Yellow Bar and missing Fire Blast while we clean him up. Against Arcanine, it seems that our Water Pulse and Return are doing about the same damage, but with the 30% chance to confuse, Water Pulse is the better option. We don't quite have the damage output here and take another reset. I wipe a couple of times here, but eventually the stars align, and with the help of a Rostberry that I found earlier to cure our burn, things go better. I've now figured out that Water Pulse is better overall and managed to confuse Arcanine. Him hitting himself gives us just enough of an edge to make it through the battle for our 7th badge, but barely. I will have to note how close this battle was at level 50 for the next playthrough. I help Bill in the Sevi Islands, rescuing Lostel from the big bad Hypno, and head back to Viridian to challenge our final gym leader. I haven't been doing any additional grinding to this point, as I'm convinced that Alfonso is going to need some, but not a lot. Editing me is here to tell you that I was wrong. Very wrong. I defeat only the mandatory trainers on my way to face Giovanni. In the anime and in Pokemon Yellow version, Giovanni always has his Persian with him, really leaning into that whole Dr. Evil, Bond villain, pet the fancy kitten while I exposit trope. He doesn't have his Persian in this game, and I can't help but feel some satisfaction as we use Water Pulse to pick apart his team. I mean, I don't want to take credit or anything, but I feel like this is the kind of battle where you fall in love with Persian, coming in with a perceived disadvantage and absolutely crushing our way through it. With 8 badges in our hand, our last challenge before the league is Rival 6. That double Intimidate strikes again as I systematically dissect his team leading up to Alakazam. Because we're at -2 attack at this point, we miss the one-shot, opening up Alfonso to a massive Psychic for over 2/3 of our health. That proves to be a bit more than we can handle, and Venusaur takes us out. Without beating around the bush a whole bunch, let's just say that I made up for all of that grinding that we skipped earlier. I've been grinding, attempting, and grinding again, leading us to this attempt at level 60 over 3 damage rounding thresholds. Return still misses the one-shot against Alakazam, but he only goes for Disable this time, allowing us to take him out on the next turn. I still can't come up with a better solution to Venusaur than spam Return and hope I do more damage, so let's watch that big brain play unfold. We finish the battle with only 11 HP, but a victory nonetheless. Before entering the league proper, I make a quick trip over to Celadon to spend some cash. I spend 90,000 Poké Dollars to buy 4,500 coins, which I can then exchange for TM30 Shadow Ball. Return handles darn near everything but can't hit ghosts, and Shadow Ball will hit them for super effective damage, giving us a great answer for Agatha. Alright, I'm about as prepared as I can see myself being. Let's try out the Round 1 Elite Four. Lorelei kicks us off. We're at level 61 coming into the league with a moveset of Return, Shadow Ball, Shockwave, and Water Pulse. A Return Shockwave combo take out her lead Dugong while she sets up Hail. Cloyster has poor special defense, so I go for Shockwave, taking her to Red Bar. She heals but can't really do much else. Slowbro has much more defense than special defense, so I go for Shockwave for around a third. Return is doing much more, using it to finish her off, but we're at less than half coming into her Ace Lapras. Return is just barely not doing enough as we get taken out over 2 turns. I mean, the solution to this battle might have been to go and level up once, getting to 63 over the next damage rounding threshold, but in this case I figured, I know the fight better, therefore I'll do better and take less damage. That's seeming to be the case more and more with Alfonso. We get back to Lapras using 2 returns on Slowbro, taking 1 less turn of damage. We actually haven't taken any damage yet, which is fantastic. It takes 3 turns to knock out Lapras while she takes some big bites of HP down, knocking us down to 69. Nice! Jinx is frail, we're faster, so we win. That wasn't a terrible fight, and I felt it provided tons of great information for the next playthrough. Bruno does have a type advantage against us. Both of his Onyxes, shout out to Adventure of Link and your fiancé if you're listening, resist our primary attacking move, and his fighting Pokemon will hit us for super effective damage. Even at only level 62 though, Water Pulse obviously handles the Rock Snakes, but Return is one-shotting the Hitmons. It's when Machamp hits the field that we're in trouble. He actually gives us a lot of turns for free, trying to drop our speed before finally outspeeding and knocking us out with Cross Chop. That Cross Chop hurts. It hurts a whole bunch. Clearly this isn't working very well right now. I think the solution is just to level up a bit because we're taking too many turns against Machamp. If I were doing a little bit more damage, I think we could two-shot him and this would work much better. I do some training in Victory Road and plan it so that after we defeat Lorelei again, we come back in at level 65 over 2 damage rounding thresholds. Now at this level, let's see how the battle goes. Well, not great in the first attempt. I misclick against Hitmonchan using Water Pulse and opening us up to a massive Sky Uppercut, taking us to around a third. And Machamp sees the knockout and takes us out again. But if I choose the correct move against Hitmonchan, the battle goes much smoother. We're now hitting Machamp for well over half, guaranteeing the two-shot, and with only those couple of extra levels, we get through this battle without taking a hit. Let's see if the forethought that I put in with Shadow Ball will pay off against Agatha, as Shadow Ball one-shots her lead Gengar after outspeeding, followed by Return one-shotting her Golbat, Arbok intimidating, so now we two-shot everything, but still utterly dominate Agatha's team. I did have a Chesto Berry equipped just in case, but man, we won this one hard. Next is Dragon Master Lance, who I'm honestly a little worried about. His dragons tend to be fairly bulky and put out a fair amount of damage, all the while his lead Gyarados is going to be intimidating us right off the bat every time. I'd heavily considered using HP Rock for this battle, but aside from Aerodactyl, our stab neutral returns actually hit for more damage than super effective HP Rock. This first attempt against Lance is incredibly one-sided as his Ace Dragonite takes us out with plenty of health and 2 Dragonairs still in the back. Aside from back in Cerulean, I haven't used any rare candies to this point, so I burned through 4 after some more wipes, bringing us back in at level 70. This time though, even at our higher level, because Aerodactyl lowered our speed, we don't even get in a hit against his Ace Dragonite before we get taken out again. Another 10 minutes later, I've left the league, grinded, come back, left, grinded more, and here we are trying again, now at level 78. That added power to our attack and defensive capabilities result in a fairly smooth battle actually. Again, seeing this battle, you wouldn't guess that I've spent the amount of time that I did here. We get a cool move when one of the Dragonairs use Thunder Wave, but our Limber ability prevents the paralysis. That's honestly about the highlight of this battle that I was just stuck on for 13 minutes. I honestly couldn't think of anything to do differently here. This Lance fight is literally a matter of having the bigger stick. Alright, because we had to level up so much to get past Lance, the champion battle should be fairly easy, right? I mean, it's seeming that way so far as we carve our way through Pidgeot, Alakazam, Rhydon, and Gyarados, but we've taken a few hits along the way, coming into Arcanine at 117 health. Water Pulse strikes for around a half while he fires back a Stab Flamethrower, taking us out from just over half. I come right back in, and this time against Arcanine we have more health because I use Shadow Ball instead of Return against Alakazam, taking 1 less turn of damage. We take down Arcanine, but we're only at 68 health for his Ace. Almost nice. I was pretty convinced that this battle was over, but then we outspeed and get a critical hit with a Return for the Oko. Venusaur goes down. Well, that was a lucky finish. I have a couple of ideas to play with Persian in the next run, but unfortunately, unless I can come up with something clever, I just feel like better, earlier grinding seems to be the solution. Alfonso clocks in with a round 1 time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 30 seconds at level 79 with 47 resets. This took 5 hours and 57 minutes of game time. Welcome to the Round 2 Elite Four. Along with some team and moveset changes, all teams have been powered up by around 12 levels. We lead off strong against Lorelei, but I'm once again getting those big stat stick vibes from Alfonso. We're doing a great job breaking down Lorelei's team, but I feel like it's primarily just reverting to that old RPG trope of grind and win with sheer power. I have spent the last 30 minutes or so in this run just staring at the learn set, trying to process ideas, but this big stick strategy seems to be the best we have right now. Lorelei was easy enough, but Bruno can be extremely menacing. His Onyxisses are now Steelixisses, so they're only weak to Water Pulse instead of being 4 times weak. I mean, it doesn't matter if we crit though, but then Hitmonchan comes out hitting a crit of its own as we miss the one-shot, taking us out from full with a single Sky Uppercut. I come right back in where we get hit by Steelix turn 1 with Rock Tomb. Despite being at -1 speed, I'm still outspeeding my whole way through this battle. I feel like it would have been better to come into this battle at a slightly higher level to guarantee the one-shot against the Hitmons. That would have added a lot of consistency. It feels a little bit lucky, but we do end up taking Bruno down. I feel like most of the reason that we succeeded though here was that Machamp missed Cross Chop. Cool. Let's see if round 2 Agatha goes as easily as her round 1 counterpart. Survey says, oh yeah. Shadow Ball alone almost solves this entire fight. We have so much damage output against her ghosts, with Return handling Crobat and Arbok with ease. This is another beautiful example of a single move darn near solving a trainer. Could Shadow Ball be the new substitute? Nah, what am I even saying? Between the leagues, after clearing the second half of the Sevii Island plotline, I did one additional chore of grabbing the leftovers. This battle against Dragon Doctoral Lance demonstrates their power beautifully. Remember the battle against Dragon Master Lance? That was the first battle of real stat stick vibes, and it's here again. But back then his team was 12 levels lower and we didn't clear him until 78, but now we're only 6 levels higher but making good progress. It gets a little dicey near the end as we only have 33 HP remaining, but we've recovered from leftovers for 9 total turns for a total of 126 hit points of healing. Oh yeah, leftovers just help prevent a lot of grinding. Alright, well things are moving smoothly enough, let's take our shot at the round 2 champion. Here, I have something that I want to mention. For the sake of brevity, I won't fully describe all of the pain and torment that this champion caused me. Just know that I feel like this battle was 100% controllable except for Tyranitar and Venusaur. Our best move against him is Water Pulse, which at this level is going to need 4 turns to knock out something that's hitting us every turn with Earthquakes coming off of a 134 base attack stat. He hurts. It's actually on the next attempt that I get some great luck and leave Tyranitar at some of the highest health that I'm gonna see for a while. But you see, Tyranitar is the cause of a few bad things. 1, he's tanky and wicked strong, so he's gonna be doing a ton of damage to us every single fight. 2, he sets up Sandstorm, effectively nullifying our recovery from leftovers. Even making it past Tyranitar in good shape, Gyarados comes out intimidating and cleans us up. So here we are 10 minutes later at level 90. I've had an incredibly successful battle leading up to Venusaur now, but because of the double Intimidate and Venusaur's bulk, he takes us out. Look at that health though. This is the closest I get to defeating the champion for a long time. We add another 14 minutes to the timer, and at level 95 we can't forget that Tyranitar is still a massive problem. I've also gone to Celadon, replacing Shockwave with Thunderbolt for the added damage, but we're so over-leveled that now even Shockwave can suit my needs. Just so you know, at this point I'm trying the champ battle, and if I'm still getting my butt kicked super badly, I white out and run right back through the league. Oh yeah, we're league grinding to get through this champion battle. Add almost another 10 minutes to the timer and I'm gonna bring us back to Lorelei. I'm about to level up to 100 and the XP bar looks so close that I thought for sure that this Lapras KO would level us up. Even in these situations, hitting level 100 is always exciting. Oh, except she freezes me and then takes me out. I haven't wiped against Lorelei since round 1, so of course, I take a moment of frustration movement in the Pokemon League lobby before going right back in. And here we are, at level 100, nearly 3 hours into the run, we're still facing the round 2 champion. Guess what? Tyranitar is still a problem. Even at this level, he still takes us down from full health to bouncing between 1 HP and 18 HP between Sandstorm damage and Leftovers recovery every turn. Anytime I'm knocked down this low before Arcanine, it's pretty much a reset because he has priority extreme speed and knows how to use it. So this is the point. This is the point where I decided I'm giving myself until 75 resets and then I'm teaching Double Team. Only 2 attempts later though we get this fight. Heracross and Alakazam haven't been worth showing for a long time because they've been one-shots for a while. We find ourselves quickly against Big Boy T-Tar. I'm now using a combination of Water Pulse, Return, then another Water Pulse to finish. This keeps him out of heal range, so we bring down the big unit with almost exactly half health remaining. Gyarados has been a one-shot with Thunderbolt for so long that Shockwave would have been equally as effective here. Arcanine is next, hitting the second Intimidate, so now we're at -2 attack. He only goes for Iron Tail, though thankfully not Overheat, as we bring him down with 2 Water Pulses. 88 health remaining as we stare down his Ace Venusaur. Shadow Ball hits for around a quarter as he sets up the Sun turn 1. With the weather changed, we can start recovering again, and Alfonso must be feeling better, hitting a crit stab return on the second turn, finishing him off for the victory. Well then, that's both the Round 1 and Round 2 champion aces knocked out by criticals. That doesn't bode well for the second playthrough. Alfonso clocks in with a Round 2 time of 3 hours and 10 seconds at level 100 with 66 resets. This took 8 hours and 47 minutes of game time. To start optimizing this second playthrough, let's talk about grinding. I've been working to build myself resources to help with routing, and one that I'm working on is a tool that will help route XP and EVs. Focusing solely on XP, let's examine Meowth. Brock should be possible at level 13 consistently, and in order to hit level 13, we need a total of 2197 experience. Every battle between the lab and Brock gives a total experience value of 1661, meaning that we will need to grind 536 experience from wild battles. I want to do this training directly before Rival 1.5 in the grass patch on Route 22 in the hopes of gaining as many attack EVs as possible from Mankeys, but I'm fine with speed EVs too. I grinded to level 8, then fought the rival, and started my trek through the forest, clearing wild battles as I encountered them. After doing my grass training and clearing every single trainer from the start of the game until now, let's start with a big early game time save. I don't manage to get any flinches this time against Geodude, but 3 bites drop him. Onix starts his onslaught with Rock Tomb while we're hitting for around a quarter. Onix is going full out here, taking a brief reprieve to use Bind. It's the little things that count sometimes as we survive Onix's last hit at 1 HP, leveling up to 14 and now 3 whole hit points. What a start. I've kept my setup on Meowth completely the same from the last run aside from one thing. Our ability is our only choice, and I kept our nature as Brave. In my last run, I had my IVs, or individual values, set to perfect 31s across the board. Let's test your hidden power knowledge. I have everything set to perfect 31s, but have reduced my defense, special attack, special defense, and speed to 30. Do you know what hidden power type that gives us? We don't need it until much later, ironically, having collected it before Rival 1.5 from our starter Meowth. It's a great advantage to starting with Meowth because of having access to pick up so early. I've been checking Meowth reasonably diligently between battles through my grinding and have found a Chesto Berry, which is going to be super helpful for the Rival 2 battle in Cerulean. Before that, though, I have to make sure to grab the, the Dome Fossil! What can I say? I can't shake it lately. It's been this feeling creeping at the back of my neck. It always seems to make my eye twitch a little bit too. I just have to pick that Dome Fossil. Anyway, in Cerulean, I also defeat the trainers in Misty's gym, so in combination with the extra training that I've done, I hit level 21, once again using the 2 rare candies available to this point to attempt Rival 2 at level 23. 23 gives us the 3-shot against Pidgeotto with Bite, with him flinching once. Perfect. Rattata hits 2 quick attacks, then falls along with Abra, leaving us at around half health for Bulbasaur. He puts us to sleep and our berry activates. Ha! How's that feel, Bulbasaur? Not so tough without your... Oh, he just used it the next turn and we're asleep again, and we wipe. Come on, man. This time Bite flinches turn 1, our Chesto Berry cures us turn 2, and then we outspeed and Scratch finishes him off. Ah, that went much smoother. Sometimes it seems that my planning pays off, and a little bit of pickup luck. I followed the same route as last time, coming to Misty next. As mentioned during the first playthrough, she's threatening, but we do so much damage with Stab's secret power that we take her down. For comparison's sake, we're now 10 minutes ahead of last run. I do catch my army of Meowths this time to cheer on our soon-to-be Persian. Rival 3 gets picked apart by Secret Power, leveling us up to 28. I'll note that I do have the Chesto Berry from the ship's trash can equipped for Ivysaur, but he goes for Leech Seeds, so yeah. With our army of Meowths, we can be as frivolous as we want to with our berries. I had to pause and think about whether to still catch them or not as I found TM10 so early. I decided yes for 2 reasons. I do still want them for the berries, and finding TM10 that early was ridiculously lucky. I couldn't accept that level of abuse. I didn't even teach it for Brock, and if you guessed the type incorrectly, you know why it was something that I had to consider. We then evolve into Persian. It's such a wonderful thing experiencing an evolution screen after so many weeks of starting with fully evolved Pokemon. And Shuckle. Don't mind me, everyone, I'm just taking a moment to appreciate this screen. The game is about to get a whole lot easier for a while. I defeat Lieutenant Surge, and whoa, suddenly we've defeated Giovanni in the Rocket Hideout. Honestly, there was nothing to show that we haven't already seen in the first playthrough. Meowth and Persian played fairly intuitively, I just needed to learn what they struggled with and when so I could optimize the grinding spots. I'm electing to skip Erica this time, heading to Pokemon Tower first to challenge Rival 3. He's a big pushover, and we continue into Silphco for item collection. Then it's a quick stop to snag Erica's badge on the way back through before grabbing vitamins. Who needs Aerial Ace when you have Stab Return? Honestly. We're about to buy our vitamins, which I suspect, if it isn't already maxed, will max our friendship. We missed the one-shot against Vileplume, but it doesn't bother Persian at all, taking a quick snooze before snagging our 3rd badge. After grabbing our vitamins, our attack and speed are vitamin max, so it's time to fully clear Cycling Road of Trainers. This is another great benefit to Return. I've used PP ups on it, and as such a powerful move with 32 max PP, it's great for grinding like this. Combined with Feint Attack, Shockwave, and Water Pulse, we have a pretty strange but effective moveset. This route is filled with attack EVs and some defense mixed in, both of which we can use in the leagues. The XP density is fairly good too. Koga falls soon after, and it's time to face Rival 5 back in Silphco. I realize I'm cutting a lot out of the second run, but it's all the same as the first run, just faster. Stomping through Koga with Return can only be so interesting. I've been showing more of these rival battles because they seem to stonewall us the most throughout the game. With the extra grinding under our belt and a Chesto Berry equipped in case he felt like going for Sleep Powder, we dominate another battle that gave us trouble in the last run. I didn't even need the Chesto again, so much for my Meowth army. Sabrina gets obliterated, then I head next door to the fighting dojo. We're not done grinding with Persian yet. As we saw in the last playthrough, there are a lot of tough battles ahead. We're currently just over 16 minutes ahead of our last run, but we actually have a fair amount of grinding to do still. It goes back to what I was saying in the leagues of the last playthrough. Persian just kind of feels like a stat stick. It's powerful enough, versatile, but has no distinct characteristics to it. It's a cat. I love Persian, but Persian just feels unremarkable. I say Persian feels unremarkable, as even at -1 attack from the Intimidate, we get a clean one-shot against Blaine's Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash. Arcanine is out hitting the second Intimidate, and a crit Fire Blast, which results in us taking a second reset. Okay, resetting against a critical stab Fire Blast from Arcanine is acceptable. I clean up that Arcanine on my next attempt. It's amazing how much more effectively we do in battle when our whiskers aren't on fire. We can take out Arcanine in 2 playing for the confusion with Water Pulse, but I don't get it in this battle. I help in the Sevi Islands, then come back clearing every trainer in Giovanni's gym. His battle is easy, and I just have to show Persian disrespecting Big Daddy Geo. Water Pulse Okos is Rhyhorns with plenty of room to spare, and our returns are one-shotting even his Nidos at this level, of course one-shotting Dugtrio as well. The only damage we take is essentially self-inflicted from pricking ourselves on Nidoking getting poisoned. I just can't be hating on Persian after a battle like that. Just like that, we're facing down Rival 6 before the Pokemon League. I once again start picking apart our rival's team, but it always seems to be that ace in the back that's the killer. I get some nasty luck in this fight, with Alakazam disabling our return, which ends up lasting forever, hitting Venusaur for almost nothing it seems with Feint Attack. We eventually get taken down. A fight where Alakazam gets one shot though is in fact preferable, as we come into Venusaur with return doing much more damage. He wastes my time with some synthesis spam, but eventually falls. Synthesis spam. Heading towards the league, I face a bunch of additional trainers in Victory Road, leveling up to 66 before entering the league. I also take the time to run to Celadon to pick up TM30 Shadow Ball from the game corner again after unlocking the fly location at the league gatehouse. Before entering the Lorelei battle, I used 12 rare candies. I managed to pick up one extra with my army of Meowth throughout the run, so that saved me a little bit of grinding in Victory Road. This brings Persian to level 78 for Lorelei. There honestly isn't much to say about Lorelei that wasn't said in the last run. At level 78, we pretty much just click return, switching to Shockwave for Cloyster, and win. It was Lance and the champion that gave us the most problems, but having the extra levels early gives some added consistency through the league. Bruno is another example of the same situation. We learned in the last playthrough what a ridiculous level we'd need to be to handle Lance. In my testing though, I really couldn't figure out a better way aside from just leveling up. At this level, Bruno, however, has gone from a somewhat threatening fight to us almost one-shotting his Ace Machamp, taking the battle without receiving a lick of damage. We're under full health because I didn't even bother healing after Lorelei. Our army of Meowths have provided us with a bountiful bag full of beautiful bite-sized berries. As such, I have equipped a Chesto Berry for this Agatha fight, but once again, like we saw last run, especially at this level, Shadow Ball rips through her team without issue. I mix in some returns for Golbat and Arbok, who after intimidating us, causes us to miss the one-shot on her Ace Gengar. She puts us to sleep, but our berry activates and we take down another league member with our careful-ish planning. The reason that I wanted to be level 78 before starting the league was partially to be over level 78 for Lance. The other half was so that once we defeat Lance, we'll be at level 80 for the champion, but we'll get there. Our Shockwave and Water Pulses do work against his Gyarados and Aerodactyl, bringing out his Ace Dragonite. I use Return, then switch to Shadow Ball to avoid the heal range, but he's locked into Outrage anyway as I clean him up. His Dragonairs try to establish a last stand, but Persian just looks back at us with those big ol' kitty cat love eyes, returning our bond into outstanding damage and winning the battle. Just like that, we're at the round 1 champion. At level 80, we can one-shot Pidgeot, avoiding any of his turn 1 shenanigans, but unfortunately, it is a range, and we rolled unfavorably, missing the one-shot by some fraction of a percentage of a hit point, and Pidgeot uses Feather Dance, dropping our attack by 2 stages. I've been using my special moves to take us through most of the battle, but by the time we get to his Ace Venusaur, we're at -4 attack because of the Intimidates, and a little banged up at half health. At -4, we simply lack the damage output to be effective, and Venusaur takes us down. Alright, so what if we say, don't get hit by Feather Dance? Well, the battle goes pretty much the same, honestly, because I rely so much on Persian's fantastic coverage as a mixed attacker for the majority of the battle. It helps too that Arcanine gets confused and hits itself, so this time we're coming into his Ace Venusaur at -2 attack and just over 3/4 health. Venusaur starts trying to synthesize, but Sucralose is not going to save you this time, my friend, as our damage output with Stab Return is so high that we put Venusaur on his back foot early, taking him down. This run went so much better having a plan of attack with my grinding. You might be thinking to yourself though, but wait, he had to be level 100 last time to beat the round 2 champion, and it was still sketchy. All the rare candies are gone. What's he got planned? Hold that thought. Persian clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 11 seconds at level 80 with 4 resets. This took 5 hours and 15 minutes of game time. Before we jump into the round 2 league, I have a couple of chores to do. I pick up the leftovers, then clear out the final rocket plotline, leveling up along the way. Persian is part of the medium fast level up group, so after around the mid-40s we level up reasonably quickly compared to other Pokemon. I snag the Sapphire and make Celio cry. Tears of joy, I should clarify. I'm not doing to him what I did to Bugcatcher Brent last week. But then we head to Seven Island to do a little bit more grinding. I make my way down to my favorite late-game grinding spot with the Versus Seeker. These two cool trainers have fantastic experience yields, with Michelle giving 8,660 and Leroy giving 9,027. They're fast battles, they're close to each other, and the shack right here has an infinite free heal just by doing the Chansey dance. As I finish my grinding, I want to be over a specific threshold. My goal is to be level 90 for the round 2 Lance battle, so with the experience that I gained from the other league members, I want to be at level 88 plus 10,405 experience, or as the game tracks it, 13,092 experience away from level 89. I'm just over 5,000 experience over that threshold after our final battle, so there's one final chore to do. I've mentioned a couple of times how Persian kind of feels like a stat stick, and I found myself thinking, is there a way to enhance my stick? Well, look no further than the guy that spends his entire existence staring longingly at Kangaskhan belly pouches. He teaches us Substitute, and we all know on this channel, Substrats, best strats. The thing is though that Substitute doesn't really change our strategy so much as augment it slightly in a couple of situations. I'm coming into this final league with a moveset of Return, Shadow Ball, Substitute, and Water Pulse. I can pretty much just click on Return and win with Lorelei. In combination with the healing of Leftovers, unless we get super unlucky, this battle is incredibly straightforward. Bruno is the first place where Substitute comes into play. I mentioned in the last run that a lot of my success against round 2 Bruno was the fact that he missed with Cross Chop. Substitute allows me to avoid that little scenario entirely. I really don't care if Steelix reduces our speed, so I use Water Pulse, then set up a decoy before taking him down. We can then OHKO Hitmonchan with Return and find ourselves in the same situation as last run against Machamp. He happens to miss again in this run, but the decoy would have broken, soaking up that Cross Chop, so we could have taken him out regardless. Hitmonlee is another OHKO, and it's the Steelix in the back that caused this strategy. I can actually survive a Cross Chop from Machamp at this level, but Steelix takes 2 shots, and with that big hit from Machamp, we were in knockout range from Steelix. Substitute converted this battle from a chance victory to an almost certainty. Substitute really breaks Agatha as well, especially as the normal type. With a decoy on the field, none of her Hypnosises or Confuse Rays or Intimidate baloney works against us, so after I set up a decoy, it's almost a free win in combination with Shadow Ball. My decoy breaks, so I set it back up to avoid the Intimidate from Arbok. At this level, we will one-shot her lead Gengar without the Intimidate, but at -1 we can't get the one-shot. And that's Agatha in a nutshell. Her Ace Gengar levels us up to 90, and we're ready to face Lance. Against round 2 Lance, we find the battle that is the most stat-stick feeling battle of this run. This is the only reason that we needed to be leveled up to 90, otherwise my strategy likely would have worked in the mid, possibly even the low 80s. But we simply just didn't have enough stats to survive this battle. I'll take a moment to discuss my current ethos with Substitute. I recognize that it is incredibly powerful, so I do tend to give it a wide berth, particularly in my first playthroughs, but it isn't a cure-all like Double Team is. I feel Substitute actually detracts from our ability to succeed in this battle, whereas Double Team is simply a cure-all 99% of the time. I could probably do this league at the same level that I did the round 1 league in with Double Team cheese. Okay, rant over. Against his Ace Dragonite, we dropped as low as 9 hit points, 0.035% of our max, finishing the battle at 39 because of leftovers. I feel that properly demonstrates just how tight this battle is even at level 90. So, you know how we collected Hidden Power 3 minutes into this run? Well, it's finally time to use it. Those of you that guessed HP Fighting were correct. We needed TM10 to solve exactly one Pokemon, the Champion's Tyranitar. I replaced Water Pulse for a final moveset of Return, Shadow Ball, Substitute, and HP Fighting. In hindsight, I could have gotten rid of Shadow Ball as well for Protect and the ability to stall with leftovers a bit more, but with Substitute and HP Fighting on our side, this is a totally different champion battle. I want to get a Substitute established against Heracross, less because of the speed drops from Rock Tomb, but because I want to be covered when Pokemon with Intimidate start hitting the field. I cannot one-shot Heracross at this level, though it is close, so I use Shadow Ball to chip, then Return to finish him off with the decoy up. We outspeed an OHKO Alakazam with Shadow Ball. The big unit Tyranitar himself comes out, and it feels so good to one-shot with a 4x super effective HP Fighting. Gyarados hits the field, and we're unaffected by Intimidate. He's another one that I barely can't one-shot, so I use Shadow Ball, then Return for the knockout. He used Dragon Dance, but we were still faster despite our brave nature reducing our speed. Arcanine is next, and I avoid the second Intimidate. He misses Overheat, so we get out of this one scot-free. The reason I keep going for Shadow Ball then Return is that Return puts almost every Pokemon into healing range, so using Shadow Ball first generally reduces the number of turns. As his Ace Venusaur hits the field, we are behind a decoy at over 3/4 health with our attack stat intact. 2 uses of Return is all that it takes to mop the floor with Venusaur for the victory. Oh yeah, that battle went way differently than last run. If there was a better solution to that Lance battle, we may have been able to shave off upwards of another 10 minutes from this run. Persian clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 18 seconds at level 91 with 4 resets. This took 6 hours and 45 minutes of game time. So let's take a look at how much time we saved between Alfonso's first playthrough and our second one. It's a lot. We did start by gaining those 2 minutes against Brock, widening to a 10-minute lead by Misty. This is primarily due to more efficient grinding and the experience of knowing what level to be at. We seem to dip around Erica, but remember we beat her after Pokemon Tower in the second playthrough, coming into Koga with over 14 minutes saved. We lose a little bit of time in the final couple of badges, but that's because we were doing a lot of extra grinding. I feel like it paid off, saving 41 minutes and 19 seconds at the end of round 1, and a mind-blowing 1 hour, 13 minutes and 53 seconds by the end of round 2, 9 levels lower with 62 less resets. What a difference that planning made. Persian played intuitively enough, but had limits. It was fun exploring and optimizing for those limits, as best as I could anyway. On the tier list, this places Persian between Politoed and Dusclops. I've had some ideas with how I want to redesign this graphic, and I'll be implementing them soon. There are a lot of little projects that I'm catching up on lately. Speaking of little projects, I want to mention the results of the poll that I posted concerning my premiere times. It seems the overwhelming majority of you prefer the 3 p.m. Mountain Time slot on Fridays. I can make it so for the foreseeable future, look for my premieres at that time. Thank you all for voting and letting me know your thoughts. Oh man, look at these segues. Speaking of polls and voting, I've released another poll with this video asking which versus video you'd like to see next. The options are Butterfree versus Beautifly, a cross-generation clash of early bug Pokemon, Arbok versus Seviper, another cross-generation battle of the snakes, or Heracross versus Scizor, the Gen 2 bugs, to continue our investigation of bipedal bug Pokemon, having seen Scyther and Pinsir in a previous video. Let me know and I'll begin working on it right away. I will pin a comment with a link to the poll at the top of this video. I want to extend a special thank you to those of you who are kind enough to support the channel through YouTube memberships, Patreon, and Super Chat. Thank you so much for your generosity. Your contributions continue to help make this content possible. If you're interested in supporting the channel as well, I have links in the video description. And I have one more shout out for my lap cat Frankie. Thanks for helping me edit this video, little dude. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Next week we're going to be exploring one of the trade evolution Pokemon from Generation 1, as they've been getting a lot of requests lately. Spoiler though, I'm not doing Abra. It's too soon after the pain of Shuckle. If you feel like I've earned it, leave a like and comment about the run, what you'd like to see in the future, take a guess on next week's run, or just say hi.
Hello, traveler.
Your support means the world to me, and it really helps my channel to grow so I can continue bringing you this content. Another way to contribute, and if you'd like to keep up with my future releases, is to make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, take care everyone.